Captain. Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind. Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsy.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hey there, we're those sci-fi guys, and this is a Those Sci-Fi Guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, with a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We are your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, and I am Rhode Island dreaming right now. Yup.
Well, I'm DT Cavman, and I haven't been in Rhode Island in a couple of days, but it's still generally nice.
I was telling you off the air about how the algorithms have been coming at me real hard lately. And, a lot of the Instagram algorithms are showing me like clips of August in Newport or August in South County. And it's all these wonderful restaurants. And I mean, you know what Newport looks like. Hey, Newport's just like amazing during the summer. Just gorgeous. Terrible during the winter, by the way. Never winter there, but so I just can't help but feel the pull. Well, but how are you, DT? Or keep going.
I felt the pull of the North Country, and didn't want to leave the lake in New Hampshire where my family and I spent the weekend.
Yes, and I hope you had a wonderful time. Did you?
We did really spend some time with some family. You know, the weather on Saturday was phenomenal. My kid tried just about every type of water sport, that my aunt and uncle had to offer. She went tubing for the first time, learned to paddle board, and did.
Oh yeah, I see that she actually got up on the paddle board. I never could do that.
She did, and she went kayaking around the lake with my aunt. Got to watch, see everything. And they saw a bald eagle on one end of the lake while my uncle took us in the pontoon boat, me and Mrs. Cavman, my sister. And we were on the pontoon boat on the other side of the lake, and we missed the bald eagle. So.
Oh, you missed it? We saw a bald eagle in Tahoe when we were in the pontoon boat. I was driving it. I was piloting the boat, and I just stood up and saluted, said, "America." I didn't say that. I said, "God bless America," but that still got everyone laughing.
Well, it was it was beautiful. Just up there, little mountain towns.
I love mountain towns.
Fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Clear sky, just seeing stars upon stars. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a good time. I'm sure you regret not being there right now.
Yeah. Yesterday the weather was pretty bipolar. It was like 85 and sunny, sun, and like we went to the farmer's market in town. It was actually pretty hot. Poked around this cute little tourist town. Went back to the house, had lunch. And, then all of a sudden, it was overcast, and there was a threat of rain anyway. But
there's always a threat of rain in New England.
Yeah, my kid and I went out with my uncle on the boat and some of his neighbors, and we were just kind of just cruising around, and then the rain started to come in, so went in and just kind of hung out, and it's still like sitting in a house right on a lake looking out over looking at a rainstorm out on the water is still pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
My kids slept in the side room, at a pull-out couch, and it's like one of those, it was one of those like porches that they improved to be another room, and like she had like a sliding door, and like she could just wake up and look out and see the lake just right there. So yeah, it was really nice.
That's a core memory. That's a core memory that you were able to provide for her. So
she really wanted to go kayaking with my aunt, and so she got to go do that. They had a great time. It was a really nice experience. We needed it. We needed to get away, even though we're going away for much longer here in a couple of days. It was very nice to do. So
yeah, well, good. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Yeah, it was fun.
For my kids, it's back to reality because today was the first day of school for them. So, but I am happy to report that my daughter's transition to middle school, which is 7th grade here, 7th and 8th grade. I kind of like that system a little bit better. I mean, 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'd be fine with too. I don't like, I feel weird about 5, 6, 7, 8, but we survived. Anyway, I'm happy to report that my daughter's transition to middle school went really well. She likes a lot of her teachers. She had a great experience. Good. A lot of her friends are around.
Also good.
And this class, this 7th grade class, is the class that she's going to be with all the way through senior year of high school. With the way that works. So there's no other middle school in her section of the district. For her, it's all the elementary schools feed into this one middle school, and this middle school is the only one that feeds into the high school, which is on the same city block.
Still sounds very strange to me.
I know. Yeah, it's different. It's different, but it works. It does its own thing. And I mean, it worked for my son really well. I fucking love this school district. It's really great.
I'm glad. We we have a pretty good one ourselves.
You just got to step back and appreciate the things that are in your life every now and then and go, yeah, you know what? I may have had a pretty bad day here or there, but God damn it, right now things are pretty good. So as you pick up a beer, and is that a beer?
It is not. It's a hard cider.
Oh, it makes it. I don't know if it makes it worse. It just compounds the point. But no, that's a joke, by the way. So, but I hope that you can.
Got it at the farmers market, man. It's a local brewery.
There you are. And see, and I hope I just hope that you are able to just step back every now and then and be like, you know what, things are pretty good with the wife and kid. And
I just did
I've got something that 99% of people.
Tell my story.
I know, but I'm just compounding the point. Like, everyone who's out there,
bludgeoning the point.
Everyone who's out there, just understand what you have and be appreciative of life. Good message.
If you have something.
If you have something. If not, then find someone who loves you. Find the people that already love you. Go to them. Like, reach out to them. It sounds like I went to some kind of retreat or something over the weekend. I didn't. So, but whatever.
Dude, you're starting to bring
it's a line from my second book. Oh, stop. Well, on that note.
Phrasing.
Yeah. So
you know what I started watching lately? I had done a Babylon 5 rewatch, and I was like, can I find Crusade anywhere? I should give that a rewatch.
Oh.
I did. Well, I bought it.
You bought it on iTunes or whatever? Amazon?
I bought it through Amazon, so I can watch it on my TVs.
Digitally?
And yeah, digitally.
It's available to buy like that? Damn it.
Well,
okay, good to know.
You can't, it doesn't stream anywhere, so.
No, it doesn't. But you can at least buy it with, thank God. Like, there are,
I mean, I have the DVD, but like I said, the DVD player's in my bedroom, and there's times where, you know, everybody's upstairs sleeping and I'm night owl down here. So it's you know, it got me thinking about, you know, it was a failed spinoff. There was a lot of network meddling and a lot of
Phil
crazy
Lumberg's in it.
Bill Lumberg.
Bill Lumberg, Phil Lumberg. They're all the same Lumberg. Gonna have to have you come in on Saturday, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been feeling that a lot lately. But I mean, without you having seen it, right? You have.
I've seen an episode. I can't tell you which episode it was, but when it was first broadcast on TBS, I did watch one episode. I remember the incident. I was sitting in my computer chair, watching it, going, "What is this? Is this Babylon 5? It looks like it, but it's not. What is going on?" And that's the issue. The marketing was terrible.
The marketing was terrible. TNT picked up season 5 of Babylon 5. Like, JMS was ready to end it. He planned it for 5 years, but like whatever, PTN or whatever the station was like going off the air. So they were in limbo. So that's why they rushed through, you know, finishing the Shadow War and the Earth Civil War all in one season rather than stretching them out a bit. And TNT came with a late pickup. They promised them to do a couple of their TV movies, and they promised, you know, another season. But Straczynski had already wrapped everything up. So that's why season 5 for a lot of people feels very disjointed. You know, they had wrapped up most of the major storylines, and Claudia Christian left as Ivanova, so they had to bring in a new character since Sheridan had, you know, become president of the Interstellar Alliance. So they bring in Tracy Scoggins to play Elizabeth Lockley, the new captain of Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her. I thought she was pretty. I mean, she wasn't Ivanova, she wasn't Sheridan, she wasn't Sinclair, right? She was
her own thing,
right? And I liked that, you know. And she filled in, and she did an admirable job. And you know, it kind of ends. You know, Babylon 5 ends, and then they have this TV movie, A Call to Arms, which is supposed to be like 5 years after the end of Babylon 5. And that's supposed to set up Crusade. And Crusade was beset by problems from the get-go. TNT did its research demographics, and like, you know, the Babylon 5 fan base doesn't watch the other shit on TNT. And the other TNT viewers don't watch Babylon 5. So they're like, this wasn't a great investment for us, even though they threw in money. They made some TV movies, made a season of B5, and then they promised Crusade, but they meddled, and they were like, here, we want new uniforms. And I just learned that the uniforms that everybody hated were like the JMS uniforms, and the uniforms that everybody liked were actually a TNT input. So that was one of the few good things they actually gave.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. They're kind of like black flight suits with,
yeah,
you know, it kind of, it's sometimes a little reminiscent.
I have to bring it up now. Sorry. Here we go. I'll bring up Crusade on the computer in a sec right now. You keep going. Sorry.
Oh, well, they're, you know, the problem with the poor B5 universe is it was a very good universe, but, and I'm going to go ahead and share some pictures right here. But if they had been on a more stable network, or like if they had been on Sci-Fi or something, they probably would have been able to succeed these other spin-offs,
Mm-hmm.
but like TNT thought they were getting something that they weren't getting, and it just wasn't really a great match. And so they kind of dicked around and basically foxed Crusade the way Fox did Firefly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So do we have the picture up?
Yeah, it's up. You can't see it?
Well, I'm seeing the actual picture. I can't
Oh
see
yeah,
ours.
no, it's up. It's up. I've got it shared. The title Crusade, and yeah.
These are the principal cast members. Gary Cole as Captain Matthew Gideon, who I really liked, both as an actor and I liked Captain Gideon. You have Tracy Scoggins as Elizabeth Lockley. She had a recurring role in Crusade. Kind of helped beef her up in the B5 universe. Can help continue her story after being in season 5. Then you have Daniel Day Kim as the XO of the Excalibur, John Matheson, and he is he's a telepath, and there's a lot of things because they time jump to this, so they have cleaned up a few like telepath have gotten were able to now join Earth Force, and it was that they skipped forward and through some flashbacks in this early season. They talked about some of the events that happened between the end of B5 and now.
Yeah.
And then you have your resident archaeologist, Max Eilerson, was like a child prodigy, super brainiac kid who grew up to go with. In Babylon 5, you hear a lot about interplanetary expedition, and that's basically this big science and archaeology corporation that goes and investigates dead worlds and new areas to find new technologies and new information. And they're the ones who reawaken the shadows in B5. One of their expeditions.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm just
for
gonna.
those of you who don't know, the premise of Crusade is 5 years after the end of the Shadow War, a race of aliens named the Drakh, who were basically
were they not?
Yeah, they were servants of the shadows, but they were a relatively powerful race in and of themselves, and they have decided to take it upon themselves to. And they actually started to feature in a little bit at the end of B5, very much in the shadows, pun intended. But they have decided to take revenge on those who were responsible for their master's downfall. They went after the Centauri in B5, and now in Crusade, they in the movie A Call to Arms, the Drakh launches an attack on Earth, intending to wipe it out in response to the defeat of the Shadows, and the Earth Force and the Rangers and 2 ships, the Victory and the Excalibur, managed to stop the attack with the Victory under command of Captain Anderson, played by the late great Tony Todd, in a fantastic role in that movie. They sacrificed himself to destroy a shadow planet killer, but the Drakh do release into Earth's atmosphere a plague. Now, because they had to rush to do it, and they didn't have a chance to fully adapt it to Earth environment and human anatomy, it's going to take 5 years to wipe out humanity. So the remaining Earth Force officials and everybody have gotten together on Mars at the start of Crusade, and they take Matthew Gideon and put him in charge of the Victory, the Excalibur, which had been commanded by Sheridan in the battle. But this super powerful starship that was built by the Interstellar Alliance and Earth Force using Minbari and Vorlon technology. It's this beast, fast, advanced, powerful, and they're supposed to go and find, that 5-year mission to, try to find the cure to the Drakh plague and save everyone on Earth.
How
and they run into a lot
many
of
special
many-
movies were there for Babylon 5? Because I'm looking at, there's like Third Space, there's The Road Home, which came out recently. I acknowledge that was animated. In the Beginning, which I love.
In the Beginning was fantastic.
And then there's a Call to Arms that you mentioned, and then the
Third
River
Space,
of
there
Souls,
was the River of Souls, right? A Call to Arms.
and then the Legend of the Rangers.
Was
and then the
supposed to
Lost
be like
Tales.
a pilot movie. And the Lost Tales
Well,
was
that
supposed
fits
to
in
be
pretty well.
yeah. But the Lost Tales were supposed to be a series of direct to DVD vignettes. Basically, they ended up being the Lost Tales were 2 40-minute episodes. Mainly one episode mainly featuring Sheridan and one episode mainly featuring Lockley. And it was supposed to be, there was supposed to be a Garibaldi one, but then they pushed it and they were going to do it next. So JMS's original plan was to do like 2 duologies at a time and like do them periodically, just tell other stories from the B5 universe. They were supposed to do another one on Garibaldi and one on Londo. But I guess, they got tied up with financing, but they also started losing main characters. By the time Lost Tales came out, Andreas Casales, who played Jakar, and Stephen Biggs, who played Franklin, had already died, and it was, just a few things that kept the Lost Tales from having a second.
Garibaldi had died by this point too, right? It was 2007.
No, he died about 10 years ago.
Shortly after. Tara Rothery was in this. She was the doctor in SG-1. She had a recurring role. Ms. Chambers. If that rings a bell. Okay. Well,
are we talking about the doctor, the woman here in the middle?
Lost Tales. The blonde woman. She was, Lost Tales.
Okay,
it just says Ms. Chambers. That's all. I don't know.
She was a reporter.
Okay, well, she was great. She's a great actress, and she was wonderful as the doctor. I forget her name. Janet.
Wow.
She was Janet something in SG-1, but she was great.
Well, anyway, so B5. One of the things that kind of made me bring about this, failed spinoffs. Like, what is it about? Why couldn't B5 be able to put a solid footing down on a proper spinoff, right? Like Crusade had a great premise, right? You have an archaeologist, you have a doctor, you have, as part of your crew, you have not pictured in here, but part of this cast includes Galen, a techno mage, which we only hear a little bit about in like 1 or 2 episodes of B5.
This guy?
And then, again, I can't see when I'm sharing this.
No. Stop sharing. This guy?
Yeah, Peter Woodward as Galen.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. He was key to launching Sheridan, cluing Sheridan in about the Drakh threat in A Call to Arms, and he was the catalyst for Sheridan's story in The Lost Tales. So he's got history with Matthew Gideon, and clearly he's got history with Sheridan. And so you have a techno mage here. You get to learn more about them. And they also have a woman, Dorina. She's a thief, but she's from a pretty much dead race their race was wiped out by the Drakh plague. Yeah. Gary Cole crushed in this role. I thought he was great.
I remember liking him as the captain.
He's a pretty good wise ass, but he's also, willing to do the hard work. I like
as
this.
any leader you would appreciate.
I wanted to see more of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, is that the guy from Twin Peaks?
Everything. No,
In the
you mean the
background?
star of Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
No,
What's his name? Oh, okay.
that's not Kyle MacLachlan or whatever.
Kyle MacLachlan. You son of a bitch. You actually were able to pull that name out. God damn it.
Well, he's been in a lot of other things too.
You
No,
pulled
that
it
guy's
out, though.
been that guy was he's been like 3 or 4 different roles in B5. But network interference and lack of support, no marketing, it really screwed the pooch on what I think was a real solid premise from JMS. And I guess at one point Sci-Fi was trying to pick it up when TNT canceled it, but turns out
Sci-Fi was
Crusade
just trying to get
would have
in.
been Sci-Fi was it wasn't going to fit their budget. It was too expensive.
Yeah, they were just trying to get into original programming at the time.
Right. In 99 or whatever when this came out. And it definitely had a lot of potential. Now, you want to talk about something that sucked. I'm not going to lie. This sucked. Legends of the Rangers sucked hard.
Okay, really? Was it that bad?
It was terrible.
All right, let me see. Legends of the Rangers. So, what was that supposed to be? Like another spinoff?
Yeah,
Post
it was supposed
Crusade?
Yes, it was supposed to be another attempt to kickstart a franchise in.
It's not even here. Like I'll have to type in Babylon 5.
You typed in.
I'm gonna stop
popular.
sharing.
That's not popular.
Well, you're right.
I think
it's not.
Try Babylon 5: Legends of the Rangers.
Yeah, no, I saw it on my phone. I just gotta type it in. That's all.
So Legends of the Rangers was another attempt to kickstart a spinoff. They had a 2-hour TV movie, and they were supposed to introduce a completely unseen enemy or unknown enemy, the Hand or something like that. It was supposed to be an enemy beyond the known galaxy, who may even have been older than the Shadows.
Okay.
And
I need
the people who first encounter it is this motley crew of misfit Rangers on this beat up old ship, because this captain or this lead Ranger, what was his name, David Martell or something like that, he chose to disengage from a fight, which wasn't really the Ranger way. He chose to disengage from a fight and save his crew. And he was like about ready to be like tossed out of the Rangers, but they decided to give him this beat up old scout ship with the stupidest targeting system you've ever seen.
Now, before you go any further, I must interrupt you. I thought, is this Babylon 5?
That is Babylon 5, yes.
Okay, is this a flashback? Because I thought at the end of the series, they destroyed Babylon 5.
They did, but the last episode of Babylon 5 takes place about 18 years after the end of the series.
Okay, so this is after President Sheridan, and he's about to die, right? Like he had 20 years or something.
When he was resurrected in Zahadum, he gained about 20 years, and then he lost, and then there was 2 years, left of B5, and then so this is 18 years after the end of the series.
Okay, so this is Legend of the Rangers, not legends, by the way, not plural, just singular, which was my downfall.
Legend of the Rangers.
It was so, and also the orientation, is the planet gone? The orientation of this shouldn't be this way, because the planet should be behind the station. If we're seeing the orientation like this, because this is the command section right here, right over here.
I have not seen this since probably 2008. I just remember it was bad. Read up on it, and all reviews were bad. I mean, it was ridiculous. People who love Babylon 5 struggle with it. You know, it just wasn't good. And they really made it kind of cartoonish at times. They convinced Andreas Katsalas to come on board just before he died to reprise Jakar. He was supposed, if this turned into a series, Jakar was going to be a recurring character on this.
So this was a special.
It was a TV movie that was going to be kind of like Call to Arms was, or more like the original pilot.
Was.
No, more like the original pilot 2-hour movie of B5, how they tried to introduce the setup and the premise and a lot of the major characters.
I've never seen that, by the way.
It's weird too, actually. It's very weird. Because it's aesthetically very different from the original, from even the season 1 of B5. But Legends of the Rangers, it was rough. You want to know how rough it was? Keep clicking through the pictures.
Oh,
yeah, that's the crew, right?
What the fuck is this?
Minbari.
Yeah, I know that, but that looks weird. That makeup doesn't match. And there's Jakar. Oh, poor guy. Who the hell is this? Was this the Ranger?
This is the captain of the ship. The character's name is David Martell.
Okay. And he was a Ranger, and then they punished him by not excommunicating him, but giving him a crappy ship.
Kind of.
Okay. Cool. And then we have the sassy female
Narn.
Narn.
A Narn Ranger. You have some Minbari.
Oh, and we got
this
the
is the weapons
female
officer.
Human.
This is the weapons officer about to jump into the targeting system, which is like a zero gravity 3D representation of space around her, and she gets to punch and kick, and that's how it fires the weapons.
That's so stupid.
I know.
That's so incredibly stupid.
It was awful, and almost everybody who has taken shots at it in reviews is like, that was the stupidest thing ever. And coming from a great mind like AMS, it was very disappointing.
Yeah. Now we're back at the beginning.
So, the question I always have is, why was it so hard for B5 to get a sustainable spinoff? Was it because it just didn't have the name Star Trek behind it?
Here's my argument. It wasn't that it didn't have the name Star Trek, because even Star Trek is fucking struggling right now. No, it's not that. It's that B5 never really had, a large audience to begin with. It
didn't have the support it deserved either from networks.
No, I mean, well, sci-fi shows never have the support that they deserve. Star Trek never really had the support they deserved.
Of course not. Kept getting canceled.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was Michael Berman that knew how to play the system enough that allowed for them. I mean, do you think they would have? They were planning on a
Rick Berman
season 8. What did I call it? Michael Berman?
Yeah, you're getting him confused with Discovery.
Yeah, that asshole. Rick Berman. Rick Berman figured out the system, they were planning a season 8 of TNG. And then Rick Berman was like, you know what? Let's make a movie. Let's cut it at 7 because we're gonna have to renegotiate all the contracts anyway. We'll do movie contracts, and then we've got DS9 here anyway. We can switch it up with new cast members and do all that. And and they did it right. They overlapped the seasons or the shows with each other. Voyager came in. Geez, Voyager and DS9 were concurrent for 4 years.
Yeah, the big
which
problem
probably was their downfall in that one.
Well, Deep Space Nine never had a chance to stand on its own. It literally stood on its own for about a month, maybe month and a half before Generations came out, and then came Voyager. So they didn't even get a full season on its own to prove it could carry its weight.
And all the cast, all the crew from TNG went to Voyager. They didn't go to DS9.
Right.
Like the production crew and stuff like that. So they wanted to keep them employed, which they did by sending them all to Voyager, which Voyager started 6 months after TNG ended. 7 months. But no, and I would argue that Babylon 5 was always more niche than Star Trek. And Star Trek in and of itself was niche. Look at the movies. The best performing film they had in the TNG era was First Contact. You know how much that movie made? $90 million. That was a success back then. $90 million. Yes. The motion picture before it, $110 million. That was the highest grossing Star Trek until Star Trek 09. So that's not a blockbuster in any way, shape, or form at all. So yeah, Babylon 5 was too smart, too well written, and too niche to be able to capture the general audience. And I say too well written because it was too serialized, even though it feels silly to say it that way. But
now when everything is almost over serialized.
Oh yeah, completely. But here's the thing. What do they do now? Do they have a 26 episode season? No, they've got 6 to 10 episode seasons now for TV shows that are super serialized.
Ballsy shows go up to 12.
Some
maybe 15.
Yeah. So I get angry. I'm getting angry for you, DT, because you're like, well, why wasn't there a successful spinoff? Well, that's why. And it's because, these douchebag studio heads had no idea what they were dealing with, and they had no idea how to market them. We're talking
care.
Even they didn't care because you know what? That's the thing. It's not something they want to watch. It's like this podcast. I don't want to watch it. I'm just kidding.
I love when you laugh at your own terrible jokes.
I know, it's delicious, isn't it? But my point is, these people won't want to watch it. They're not fans of it. They want the money, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know what they're throwing out there that makes them the money. You know what show had a really good backing that still got messed up? If we're talking about spinoffs that didn't make it, X-Files: The Lone Gunman.
Didn't that last like one episode?
It was a season. It lasted a season, and then it failed, and then they brought them back for one final episode. And then Millennium, which lasted like four seasons or something, which was not an X-Files spinoff, but was by the same creator, decided to do a finale of Millennium in the X-Files. So Millennium. Why is my sound not?
Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah. What the hell? Where's the Millennium Show? Here we go. Millennium Day? No, that's not it. Fuck. What's his name? X-Files.
Isn't that Chris Carter?
Chris Carter. Chris Carter did the X-Files and then Millennium after the Millennium. Okay, well, all right. Yeah, so it's Millennium. What the frack, man? Anyway, not a spinoff, but in the same universe at the very last episode. That's what he was doing. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Lone Gunman. There's Millennium. The Lone Gunman. Here we go. Lasted 13 episodes. That's still a season. Nowadays, that's still a season. That's actually a very successful season, by the way. 13 episodes? Yeah. Hell yeah. But same, right? I mean, you go down the road of, if we're going to be talking about failed spinoffs, you're going to inevitably hit that subject of why wouldn't it succeed, and it always comes back to, in this subject of sci-fi spinoffs, it will always come back to the producers and the network people had no idea what they had. They had no idea how to market it. They had no idea because they didn't care for it in the first place. They just thought they were throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. That made them more money. That's it.
Well, in which case I have a similar one to go over. So Babylon 5, right? Niche, right?
Yep.
Small, loyal fans. You know what else had a small band of loyal fans? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. 7 seasons, though, man.
Yeah.
Would you call that a failed spinoff?
No, I'm not. I'm going somewhere with it.
Oh, okay. Keep going. I think I know where you're going. But
So,
go.
Marvel, right? They were like, well, we've had massive success in the movies. Let's bring it to the small screen. And they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And for the first 2, maybe 3 years, the show really tried to keep lockstep with the movies, even though the movies would just do this to the TV show at the time.
Right. I was a faithful watcher of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all the way through season 5.
Me too. In fact, I watched season 7 in the hospital.
Yeah. Well, what else were you going to do?
Yeah. So I always loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they did a pseudo spin-off prequel called Agent Carter, starring Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter in the aftermath of World War II, right? Kind of follows a little, her trying to be taken seriously in the SSR before it becomes S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's no longer, Cap's not there. She doesn't have the support. Obviously they didn't get Tommy Lee Jones back to play his role. So and Howard Stark is on the run in the first season. So she's got no support. And of course it's a woman in the 40s trying to make it a man's world.
I remember there were a lot of jokes about her making a sandwich or being in the kitchen or, do you really think you can understand this one, sweetie? Sweet cakes? Yeah. Something along that line. There were a lot of those. It got tiresome, to be honest with you. It felt like they were trying
a little too hard.
Yeah.
First off, what gave them the idea to do this anyways, when Marvel started doing those 5 to 10 minute one shots that accompanied the DVDs. And there was Phil Coulson doing a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer. Then there was the one where he's doing, and it's the consultant, where it's like basically they're setting up for Stark's post-credit scene in The Incredible Hulk. And they have a couple other ones, like ones where a bunch of randos find some like Chitauri tech. And they get recruited into S.H.I.E.L.D. after they go on a bank robbing spree. And
Yeah,
then
I remember that
what
one.
is
That
it?
was cool.
All of the King, where you have
All hail the king, baby.
yeah,
Hail to the
it
king.
was
Hail to the
it
king, baby.
was yeah, it was
Trevor Slattery.
Trevor Slattery. So
Trevor Slattery.
Ben Kingsley,
Hey,
playing up his fame
hey.
as the Mandalorian, the
Mandalore.
Mandarin in prison.
It'd
And
be
you,
less
like, you get
offensive
a
if you said Mandalore.
you get a quick cameo from Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer in there, and then Trevor's kind of
Who's miserable.
Yeah, he's miserable. All right. And he gets cornered by a reporter who turns out actually works for the real Mandarin in the Ten Rings. And that goes nowhere for like 10 years. And then it gets paid off in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Not bad, though. Appreciate that they did come back to that. But this was the most successful of the one-shots because it actually spawned a TV series. And they also set it up in an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode to like start it. And it shows Peggy Carter and the Howling Commandos taking down a Hydra base right after sacrifice during the war, at the end of the war. And they find some Hydra stuff and capture a Hydra scientist who's now back with a fountain of youth kind of thing going on and is searching for stuff. Then this also, in some ways, will go to the next pseudo spinoff as well, as this is the season where they start introducing Inhumans to the Marvel universe. But Agent Carter, the series, I very much enjoyed. First off, I love Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. I think it's a great role, great character. She really embodies like a woman breaking, fighting against the cultural oppression of the 1940s. She nails the look of a woman from the 40s. She's tough, she's smart, she's witty. And, you get a recurring role of, Howard Stark, Dominic Keating back from, Captain America. But they introduce James Darcy as Edwin Jarvis, the Stark family butler, who eventually becomes Tony's template for the Jarvis AI, which, was great. And seeing James Darcy in Avengers Endgame.
Great payoff. Great payoff. Great payoff for the Agent Carter fans. Yes. I loved it. I was excited, and it was really, he didn't even look at the camera. He like, you heard him. He said his lines off camera. You saw him. He was there. It was an ADR line, by the way. They put it in post. And he's just shutting the door for Howard Stark. And that's it. But he is the only Marvel television character to be featured in a Marvel feature film. Not even featured. Shown, glanced.
Anybody who made their first appearance in a TV show, you're right, including at least until the post Endgame Disney Plus shows. That was completely different. Pre Disney Plus Marvel TV shows weren't really treated very by by ABC and Disney. If they didn't, start off gangbusters, they were basically, kind of kicked to the curb. But Agent Carter told good stories. When following it, I was like, well, this isn't trash. So it was another one of those ones that I feel either the audience wasn't quite there, because I thought the writing was fairly strong. You have a very popular character, so much so that Peggy Carter has shown up in a lot of different movies and TV shows, played by Haley Atwell in both live action and animated form. We all know she was one of the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D. She had a small role in, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. She had a great cameo in the prologue of Ant-Man. They really realized, I think, with Captain America, that they really solid performance, and they kept bringing her back. She had 2 flashbacks in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She had the one shot, and clearly all of that paid off where they could, feel that they could use her as in her own series. And that didn't really go the way it should have. The writing was pretty strong. They introduced, characters who made sense to that timeline. They introduced very briefly Mickey Rourke's character from Iron Man 2, Vanko. They introduced his father working for Howard Stark.
Was this in the first series of the season,
first
or
season
the second?
of Agent Carter? Yeah,
I missed that.
But they tie some of these things, and they have Arnim Zola show back up, so they tie this to it. They have an episode where you get Neil McDonough back as Dum Dum Dugan from, Captain America, Winter Soldier, or excuse me, First Avenger, and
they have Dot.
I think Kenneth,
They talked about Dot. Well, they show Dot, but in First Avenger, they talk about Dot.
Who?
Dot, the blonde spy.
Dottie,
yeah.
She wasn't
They
talked
talk about
about
her in. Yeah, they did. They talk about her in First Avenger, like one of the 2 girls. Steve's like, "What's that girl's name?" And then
that was in Civil War.
Was it Civil War? Okay, well they mentioned Dottie in Civil War, so Dottie was around before he got his super serum.
A lot of people think that it was talking about the.
I mean, it's not confirmed, but why would
it's not confirmed? But that's great. It could mean that she was, obviously had already done infiltration. She was another Red Room. They showed you the Red Room, which eventually led to, Natasha Romanoff and whatnot. I thought they did a pretty solid job with it, but it got axed.
I was a big fan. I was a huge fan of season 1, and I watched the series ratings every flipping week, praying practically. I didn't actually pray, but praying that the ratings would go up as each episode happened, and they did not. But when they made the announcement that it was being renewed for a season 2, I actually put a Facebook post on there going, "Nailed it. Needed this one. This is a good show." Yeah. And I was happy, Now, how many episodes did I watch? I watched in the season 2. I watched all the episodes up until Jarvis's wife is in the hospital after getting shot. And I didn't watch after that. And that's my fault. But things were a little weird at that point.
Yeah, I get you. It was a show that definitely deserved better. Marvel clearly didn't, Marvel Studios didn't support it enough. They should have, because it was
a Feige production.
World building.
It was a Feige production, and Feige was looked upon as not having. He shouldn't be allowed in television, according to Jeff Loeb and others, because Marvel Television was their thing. They didn't want Feige encroaching on their turf.
Right. Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some of these others weren't Feige. This was the one that Feige had his hands on, which
Exactly.
might be why it was, you could get, you really did get some tie-ins to the other series, the other movies. I thought it was solid. To be honest with you, it really ticked me off when they canceled it because I enjoyed the series. But that's just me. I mean, they did pay off a little bit of Agent Carter. They gave it some love in season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were doing some time hopping. And they paid a little off there, and clearly you got some love. Again, since Kevin Feige was overseeing Agent Carter, you got Peggy Carter wherever he could cram her in movies, as well as the Edwin Jarvis scene in Endgame. So,
right.
What they really tried to bury, at least until Doctor Strange, was Inhumans. And that they didn't even tie to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. They introduced all these Inhumans, which was a way around X-Men and other Avengers. They could have superheroes on the show. At most you had B-list and C-list, heroes and villains in the show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But man, the Inhumans, like I watched the season.
You watched the whole thing. I didn't even watch it. I mean, I saw
it was a slog.
I heard, and I'm like, well, I don't need to put myself through this. Anson Mount, by the way, everybody. Was it Black Bolt or?
Yeah, Black Bolt, the Inhuman King who can't speak. And I'm like,
oh, he can. He can speak.
Right.
But he'll destroy the universe if he does.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait, is that Ramsay from Game of Thrones? Clearly he's going to be the bad guy. He was. He was definitely a bit more likable than Ramsay. You could understand a little bit more of it. He was not quite as psychotic. You could understand some of his reasons a little more.
I would argue if you were a really good bad guy on Game of Thrones, your acting was impeccable. Unfortunately, you've ruined your career because everyone freaking hates you because they can't separate you from that character anymore.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't do that to Anson Mount, or he wouldn't have had. And mind you, this is after he had a very successful run on Hell on Wheels.
I don't even know what
I hadn't yet seen Hell on Wheels. I've talked about Hell on Wheels numerous times.
Cool. I don't remember.
I
don't remember. I don't remember. What is it?
It is the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. He and Colm Meaney are the two leads.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, good for them. Yeah, he had a good run on that. Good for him. How many years is that, by the way? 5 years. Yeah, well, never saw it. Never saw a goddamn commercial for it. Don't even know what network it might have been on. Or cable network. Well, that's why. That's why, everybody.
Anyway, this was, I think, before this came out before he was. I think he showed up as Christopher Pike, right? So this is what he did in between Hell on Wheels, a successful TV show, and Star Trek. And clearly, you have to. This would be a tough thing for an actor who can speak, can hear, and can't really use American Sign Language. Not that Anson Mount couldn't learn it, but because the Inhumans have been on the moon for so long that they wouldn't know American Sign Language. So he had to invent his own sign language. So it was, but they didn't tie it into almost anything else. Like they didn't have an appearance by Chloe Bennett as Daisy Johnson, was an Inhuman. There were none of the superhero Inhumans show up. No Agents of Shield. Anybody which would have fit, but nothing. It was no ties to anybody else. And half the time, like most of the Inhuman who are quote unquote the protagonists, are depowered, or it's kind of like watching Iron Man 3, where like he had no suit for most of the movie.
Right. Well, yeah.
It was a slog.
Yeah. No, I mean, believe me, it was like the first Marvel project that everyone was like, "What the crap is this?" And this was kind of the Behringer for a post.
Harbinger.
Oh God, who was the guy? Harbinger for a post. Ike Perlmutter Marvel. Which, say what you will, but Ike Perlmutter knew what worked and what didn't.
I thought you said he was the one who kept Scarlett Johansson off to the side.
He did, and that movie didn't do well.
Well, they also made the movie at the wrong time. If they had made it right after Captain America: Winter Soldier or Captain America: Civil War, it would have fit better.
Would have, but they didn't, so it didn't. But
pandemic
that
didn't
being
help
said, no, the pandemic did not help. No, not in the slightest. That being said, I want to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to make a controversial pick, but I think you'll agree with me. Failed spinoff, Star Trek Discovery. 5 seasons, I know, but that fucking show destroyed any goodwill that Star Trek fans had towards that show, towards the Star Trek universe.
They jacked it up so bad they had to shoot it 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
Where if they had started that way,
maybe
it would have at least felt more
appropriate technology-wise and shit. Yeah,
exactly.
And don't call the Klingons if they don't look like Klingons. We've already talked about how Discovery's destroyed what was just a terrible, thing that was brought into existence. My point is, though, my angle is, it was a failed spinoff. And they kept it on in principle, number one, because
they kept it on out of spite.
They did. They kept it on out of spite. They said, fuck the fans. We know that this is good. We're going to keep it on. And the fans were like, no, this is terrible. And they didn't listen to the fans. They didn't listen to the fans at all. And the fans that did like it, God bless you. Pretty sure, though, that you were on the side that wanted to, make sure that the fans that didn't like it and you wanted to be vindictive towards them because you'll just love any Star Trek that you get. Fine. That's your life, not mine. I'll live my life in quality. So
I don't disagree with you that it failed in its mission.
I fully acknowledge that this is a controversial pick. Don't worry. You're not going to hurt my feelings in disagreeing with it, but
it's not the first failed Star Trek spinoff when you think about it. The animated series only got 2 seasons, and it was the only one that actually won a Best Series Emmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You figured at least with the children's, with the cast, you could have run a few more seasons. That didn't hit, not the way it should have, because and some of their stories were actually very well written.
They were written like adults, like they would have written for the TV show, like the live action show. So, and that's they appreciated the intelligence of children on a Saturday morning. Like,
sure.
Children will have that intelligence. Gargoyles was a level of intelligence for children that would appreciate that show. Like, a fantastic show, Gargoyles. You don't need to pander to the children treat the children as adults using things they're familiar with in a way. Like Bluey. I don't know if you're familiar with Bluey. Bluey is an amazing television show. It's really good. It's well written.
My kid is way beyond that age, so it's not something that's on in my house.
Oh, I bet she would love it though. I bet
she's not interested in
it. Even as a whatever grader she's in. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to say that, but I bet you she would love it. Anyway,
let it go.
I just did.
Would you consider Enterprise a failed spinoff?
Struggled. Super struggled.
By the time it got really good, right? The last two seasons, I think they had lost some audience, and they definitely lost support from the network.
Now, here's the fun part about that. A couple things about Enterprise. People, when they saw what was happening with the prequel series, they're like, this is kind of lame. Why are you showing the Ferengi? Why are you showing the Borg? And I know the Borg came in season 4, right? But they showed the Ferengi. Yeah, I mean, like they were showing aliens that they shouldn't be coming across in the prequel TV show, and that irked fans. Number 2, I don't think that Archer was very well written. I don't think they knew how to write for Scott Bakula.
Maybe not.
I can't tell you how they could have fixed it. I really can't. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think that they knew how. And number 3, those first 2 seasons were a struggle. They couldn't get their footing, but that was very common for Star Trek at the time. The first 2 seasons of TNG, almost unwatchable. First 2 seasons of DS9, watchable, but they didn't really get their footing until season 3. First 7 seasons of Voyager, but that being said, seasons 3 and 4 leveled out the audience. So yes, they didn't have the same audience level, but it was solid. It was a stable audience pattern in seasons 3 and 4. What killed Enterprise was Les Moonves. When he gained control of the television rights to Star Trek in 2005, he cut it because he didn't care. He's like, nah, we're getting rid of this. I'm done. Because that was in 2005. That was when Viacom split Paramount into the movie division, and then CBS and all the
television. Doesn't even sound like a real name.
Viacom?
No, Les Moonves. It sounds like sounds like a cartoon villain.
Well, tell that to the actresses that he tried to, get to know better on a more biblical level.
The term is called Weinstein.
But Les Moonves was the one that axed Enterprise, and Enterprise in 2005 was earning more of a viewership share than anything that Discovery was able to procure. Guaranteed. Well,
I mean, you had Count Bakula at the helm.
Yes. They do talk about him in What We Do in the Shadows. Count Bakula. They do. He's actually, I'm not a vampire, guys. Why do you even have me here? So, all right. But that being said,
that's perfect.
So I would say that Enterprise was a successful spinoff, but it was hated by the suits. So
the vets, as they may be.
Yeah, whatever. The people in charge, they didn't care for it. They didn't like it. There was still an audience for it that would have justified having it. But that's my 2 cents. I mean, I could very well be wrong. I'll fully acknowledge that. that's just the gestalt that I'm feeling for it, though.
God bless you.
Yep, you're welcome. I'll cover
I've
my
got
mouth
one
next
for
time.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
There we are. So, super
right.
successful TV series. Battlestar Galactica
Oh.
reboot.
Yeah, hold on. I'll add it. Here we are.
I didn't even get a chance to watch this. I think I deployed when this series came out.
I saw the first couple episodes. The problem was, so this is Caprica. Takes place 40 years before the fall. And we get to see the origin of the Cylons being developed and everything by this tech magnet guy.
I think the point of this was to bring it so that it would come up to the first Cylon War.
Yeah. Which was 20 years? 20 years before Battlestar Galactica and the remake or something?
Even 30 or something like that.
Maybe. Like, if only there was some way we could find out. I need to buy that show digitally. That's such a good show. Anyway, so I watched
58 years before the main series.
Okay. All right, there we are. So 20 years until the Cylon War, 18 years until the Cylon War, and then it was 40 years after that, and then okay. This show was a departure. It first of all shot on a planet on Caprica, hence the title. They might as well call it Vancouver, because it was just Vancouver.
That's everybody's excuse now. It's all Vancouver.
It's all Vancouver. The technology didn't feel too much more advanced. And there weren't
honestly, aside from Cylons and starships, their technology wasn't any more advanced than our own.
Not really, no.
I mean, they're still
there
using guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much of an element that Caprica added other than to us see how the Cylons were to come about. But that was going to be years. So it was... I liked the actors. I liked the actresses involved. I mean, they did a good job. It was not badly written. It just wasn't an interesting subject, in my opinion. Because we knew they were going to be the bad guys. So we already knew the end of the story when it started.
Of course.
So, I mean, I don't think the same argument could be made about Enterprise, because they still went on adventures. We didn't know these people. They were never mentioned before. I mean, and these people weren't either in Caprica, but we knew what their aim was. Their aim was to show the beginning of the Cylons. So it was a losing venture in the process. Like, they were going to fail. They were going to lose. The bad guys were going to win at the end of the series. So there's no stakes.
I do love steak.
Medium well, medium rare. What do you want? What do you go for?
Just medium.
Because now medium rare is now rare. I used to get medium rare all the time, but they do it rare now for some reason. I don't know what happened. So I get medium, which is medium. Well, what can I say? You know,
do it.
So, oh, here it is. Damn it. Well, my timing is terrible.
You know, we discussed spin-offs of Star Trek, X-Files, the Marvel Universe, Babylon 5, and Battlestar Galactica. All very prominent sci-fi franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And while Star Trek had many successful... Well, yes, that's what I brought them up as a spin-off.
Oh, you said X-Files. I'm sorry. My apologies. You did say that. My bad.
Whereas Star Trek had many successful spin-offs, you know, from the ones we grew up with to even some like Lower Decks and Picard ish. And there are some modern successful spinoffs, but like B5, X-Files, Battlestar, they were very successful shows in their own right, loyal fan bases. They couldn't really get a universe started. B5 is probably the closest. Marvel is a little bit different because TV wasn't treated right prior to Endgame. After that, they kind of did a better job, or at least attempting to tie them all in.
Sure.
Because they're all under the one studio. Whether or not, because you get Daredevil, you had like Cloak and Dagger, you had like all these different studios almost and channels with their own Marvel shows.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're all under Disney Plus, right? It makes more sense. But they're kind of their own thing. But all the others really struggled to build a franchise off of very successful shows that you would think would lead to being able to expand an interesting universe. It is weird. B5, you're right. It was kind of niche. But some of those TV movies went over well. Yep, the TV shows just couldn't gain further traction. B5, Caprica, what did it last? 2 seasons, I think?
One?
Only lasted 1 season, 19 episodes.
I'll double check it. Yeah, that was back when they were doing 20 episode seasons.
They did do, but Battlestar very rarely did 20 episode seasons. They were more in the 15.
They did 2 halves. So it was, first half was 10, second half was 10. And they would have like a winter break.
They did the 10. The winter break sometimes took like 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I know. Well,
they were weird with their times.
That was Sci-Fi right there. They started doing that with SG1 as well. But
it was B5 and Battlestar both was able to have a few successful TV movies that did all right. Clearly they thought they could build off of those, and it didn't quite work out. It's just a shame because those universes clearly are ripe for more storytelling.
Sure.
And when B5 came out with that movie, The Long Road Home, 2 years ago, I was like, okay, that's great. JMS had been kicking around the idea of doing a reboot of B5. You got as many of the surviving voice actors to come back and voice this animated movie. There was a pretty good feel to it. And it just reminded me how much I enjoy that universe, and I want to see more. I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer. Like Crusade had a great premise. They had some pretty solid characters. There's some cheesy acting as there was in B5, but the stories for the most part were okay and solid, and were getting better. There was a lot of neat things that they could do with such a diverse crew. But anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. My thought is about the failed spinoffs and whatnot is you're going to have a lot more failed spinoffs than successful ones, just like any TV show.
Right.
But if we step out of the sci-fi realm for a little bit, how many shows were based off of the Mary Tyler Moore Show? How many shows were based off of Happy Days? 5, something like that.
Mork and Mindy.
Mindy, you forget.
Laverne and Shirley, I think, was technically a spinoff. Joni Loves Chachi.
Wasn't Good Times like something based off, a spinoff of something? I don't know, but
Mary Tyler Moore had Rhoda and Lou Grant.
Yep. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of spinoffs that happened. It was common. It's still common. So it's just,
Big
whether
Bang Theory,
there's
Young Sheldon, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
right. And I think that's the most successful, like, mainstream network show out there right now, where they're on not just their first, but their second direct spinoff. Like,
And there's got a third one coming out too.
What's that one?
Stewart Fails to Save the Universe or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna take a little bit more of a sci-fi slant. I'm all for it. If it works, it works. It's fine. I remember feeling like I shouldn't be watching Young Sheldon because I don't know. The audience, the sources of information. I know it's late. We'll wrap up. The sources of information on Young Sheldon, though, were very judgmental about people watching Young Sheldon. It's like, who the hell is watching this crap? And I'm like, oh, I'm not. And then I watched it. And I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. And this has a lot of heart to it. It's like, you just, whatever floats your boat. You don't need to conform to everything, So, on that note, any parting words? I can't play any music. So if I play music, I have to change the gain level on our outro.
My only parting notes is Agent Carter, Crusade, they really deserved a fair shake. Some of the others, like Legends of the Rangers, clearly JMS was on something because it wasn't good, wasn't set up well. But some of these
was in it.
Some of these deserved fairer shakes than they got, and I only hope that down the line, if they do say reboot B5, I'd love to see them bring in some of the Crusade characters, since they're going to reboot it a little bit more. The original plan was to follow Sheridan as he was a bit younger leading up to it. So you can maybe see how they might bring these other characters rather than have Lockley as just kind of a slapdash replacement for Ivanova. Make these characters feel more organic to the universe in a reboot.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see.
That's all you can say, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So on that note, everybody, until the next time, I'm P.S. McKay. We are those sci-fi guys. You guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. So long, everybody. It's out there.
And I'm DT Calfman. And from here on the East Coast, I wish you all a wonderful night, and we'll see you on the high ground.
Those Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by Alphasite Productions, produced by DT Cabman and PS McKay, oceaned by music by Aiden under Creative Commons license. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow PS McKay on X at PS McKay or go to thosci-figuys.com for past episode information. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Rumble, as well as anywhere you can find those Apple podcasts that you so well and love.